Welcome to the Pursuit Podcast, your ultimate guide for pursuing the best parts of life.
Hosted by Jafon Evans and Jonathan Johnson, this podcast is a captivating blend of spirituality, self-development, and real-life experiences that will inspire you to follow your dreams. This is the Pursuit Podcast.
So, episode 1, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great, JJ. I'm so excited to be here. We've got some really good topics and conversations. I'm excited to just expand on what we were talking about last night and just give it to the viewers. We're going to be real. We're going to be raw. So I'm excited. How are you feeling?
I feel good. I'm hyped. I've been trying to do this for a little bit.
Yeah, we have. So what made us start? Why are we starting this today?
Man, I think for me, I wanted to do this before, we started dating, before we started talking. But I remember first time we went on a date, I was like, dude, me and you, we need to do a podcast. Our skill set, we complement each other so well. We communicate so well. I was like, we just got to drop game for these people. So, I just think the authenticity, the transparency, the honesty, I think it only makes sense to do it.
Yeah, I remember having the conversation about the podcast because, like you said, we just have so much in common. When we went out on our first date, we had so much in common. We both talked about wanting to, do a podcast, and we both do videography and photography and things like that. And so I think it was really good that God had brought us together, just because we're on the same path, and God is calling you to do something when it's just everything just falls into place. It's I wanted to do a podcast, you wanted to do a podcast, and now here we are. So I think that's really great.
Yeah, I think too, our gifts just complement each other. How you're already a content creator and so am I.
Yeah.
And as far as social media and videography in that sense, but I think also the sense of just, I don't know, I have just true belief that this is going to work. It's going to go somewhere, I feel God put it in both our hearts to do it, so I have no concerns, no nerves.
So, but it wasn't always like that though, because we've been talking about it for how many months now? It's been
2 months. 2 months? To be honest, it's been 2 months.
It's been 2 months.
2 months too late, but I feel we made good steps to get here, already making logos, already talking about, podcast ideas and drafting out stuff. But I like where we're at, no better time than today. I just feel it's important to just start,
I definitely agree. And I think people can take away from our experience, how, we just said, it's been 2 months. We've been talking about this and talking about it, and we have been planning, and it's important to plan. When you have a vision, when God gives you a vision, when you have a calling, yes, you want to plan, but you don't want to spend 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months just planning, right? You really need to go and take the steps. And so I know it can be hard to do that. There's fear that you have to overcome. There's worries that you have to overcome. Sometimes financial responsibilities that you have to overcome. There's certain things you have to overcome. So for you personally, what did you have to overcome, or did you have to overcome anything in order to start this or start anything? Not even just this, but on the topic of having a vision and just not doing it. What has stopped you from starting?
I think for me it's just a comfort level. It's another thing of just self-belief. You got to believe you can actually do it and it can go somewhere. I'm so used to being behind the camera. Mm-hmm. And I know for me and you, it's this is a must have right now because of all the conversations we're having in the cars, any time of day. And it's man, that should have been a podcast. But for me personally, it's just I don't know, it's just really believing God has this for me. And it's just another thing to do. I always feel the hardest step is just starting and, putting that first, taking that first step. Whenever I was in college going for runs, the first step, getting out the door is literally the hardest part. Doing a 2-hour run, doing an hour run every day, just those small steps. And I'm glad we're finally here. And it was so cool. I didn't even know you were looking up spots 2 days ago, and you're I found a spot.
I was, yeah.
So that's super clutch, and that's why this is dope, because you compliment me so well, and I wasn't even thinking about that. I didn't even ask you to do that. That's awesome. So,
and you know what's crazy about that? I think that's a big fear for some people. Some people don't want to start because they're okay, well, I don't have the resources. When I start, what am I going to do, right? That's a big fear, but God will place people in your path. He'll place resources in your path. Whatever you need, he's going to give it to you, especially if he's given you that vision. So you shouldn't be afraid to start something, because once you take that first step of faith, God is going to lay out the path for you already, like hands down, it's going to be done. So like how you said, like I was looking up places and like you didn't even know. I was like, yeah, like God had put that in my heart. I'm like, let me just do this, because like we complement each other. And God is going to send you somebody who, helps you wherever you lack or wherever the other person lacks. God is going to send you someone to help you, like whether it's resources, even just encouragement. Because like you last night encouraged me when we were talking about like me starting with my own personal brand. And I was like, it's been 3 years. God gave me a vision 3 years ago and I've done nothing with it. And it's like, you just gave me that encouragement, like, okay, like to push me to start it. So I think too, that can be a big fear for people, just not knowing like, well, how am I going to do this? This is way too big for me. God is always going to give you the resources, especially when he gives you the vision. So
yeah, I know like one thing I always tell myself is like, if you do A, God's going to make B. And then after that, it's just momentum at that point.
Yeah.
And faith is just starting, to be honest. But like, that's what I've been telling my parents, my mom and dad, like with their businesses. And like with you, is like, you have everything you need. Like you're the best, most well-rounded person I've ever met in my life.
Thank you.
So it's like, you just need to do it.
Yeah.
But like, I think whenever you're starting something new, like it's just committing to just what's the smallest level I can improve today on it. Like a lot of people want to get the whole thing done, have the first draft, be perfected. But like I was telling you yesterday, like you can't have the iPhone 14 without iPhone 4. You got to start somewhere. And like, this is huge. Just starting, like people are like so focused on the destination. That's really the problem, because they're not going to enjoy the journey. And like, like when I was out at training camp yesterday, everyone's like, oh, like, how'd you get this job? And it's like, dude, like, I can't tell you how I would do it. Like, you got to do it for you, do it your way, but just start. Like, that's the biggest thing in anything. Like, just start and then like follow through with what you want to do.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up, because, for our new viewers and listeners who don't know, we have a superstar right here in our presence. He works for the Houston Texans. And so I love how you said before, when we were having a personal conversation about it, you went to school for, like you said, you changed your degree when you went to school, or you didn't really, like, how did you start doing that? Because I know you didn't start in the NFL, obviously. You didn't start like doing sports, obviously, or you did start. So how did you like start that? Like
for me, like I didn't even, halfway through college, I never even picked up a camera. I never even had an interest in it.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want to have a part-time job here at school. Picked it up and I was like, this is crazy. Went to USC Upstate, small school in South Carolina that no one has heard of. Yeah. We have the smallest Division I basketball arena in the country. But it was like, I just want to start. I picked up the camera. Like one of my best friends gave me a camera and I was like, I'm gonna borrow this camera and I'm gonna build up. Yeah. Like I'm gonna get my own gear. And it's just like a want to, it's just like an effort thing. And like, that's just kind of how I've always been wired. Like one Division I scholarship, like you just gotta go, you just gotta start. But like, this was always the goal. And it's kind of like, it's gotta be real to you before you even, get on that journey. Sometimes I don't even take enough time to really think about like, wow, like I shoot videos in NFL, like for my favorite team, like that's wild. Yeah. But like, you just start and like, God's going to bless you if you're being faithful, like abundantly. And, I think that's the most important part, is just showing God you're serious about it.
Mm-hmm. I love how you said that. That's a word right there. When you are obedient, like he's going to bless you. Like your path is going to be lined out for you. All you have to do is just like listen. Right. And then I also love how you said that's advice for somebody, like when you said you just started, like you didn't have any like no knowledge or skills or expertise. So when you started, where you were then with your skills, with your level of experience is not where you are now. Right. You've been doing this for like what, 3 years? How long have you been doing this?
Like 4 years. But it's the same thing. It's the same thing with anything. Like once you learn that about life, then you're just going to be successful in anything, because you can translate that to anything. Like with the podcast now, like I've never made a podcast before, but I believe in it just as much as I did when I started with the camera. Yeah. So it's just like, it doesn't really matter where you start. Like I'm living proof. Like I didn't go to Clemson. I didn't go to South Carolina. Like, you went to Kentucky, you worked at the SEC. Yeah, like we have two very different paths, but it really doesn't matter. And I see people and they like, I don't know. What I try to tell people is just like, it's possible. Like it's literally possible. You're so close. And that's what I didn't realize. Like my goal was to do this by like 25, 26. Like I got a full-time job when I'm 22, but like you're so close. And that's what people don't realize. Like the difference between 100,000 subscribers on a podcast And it's just starting. Like that could be 6 months down the line, but if you never start and you wait for, I need a camera, I need the lights, like part of it is just I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna find a way to do it for me. And I'm gonna build. And like you said earlier, like God's gonna bring those people in your circle to elevate you. Especially like when you're walking in purpose, like you get elevated, and like some of that is just grace. But like,
yeah, definitely, I agree. And I think it's important to note, like, everybody starts somewhere. Like you said, people who have 100,000 subscribers, like they didn't start with 100,000 subscribers. They probably started in their room with their little iPhone and 0 subscribers, but they said, I'm going to commit to this. And I think that's what's important, is committing and following through with what you say that you're going to do. Because you're not going to start out with a big number of followers. You're not going to start out with the best equipment. And even if you do, you're not going to start out with like so many fans and followers. Like you just have to start, and you'll get there eventually. If you keep going, you stay committed, you'll get there eventually. Like it's not like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'll never get there. No, just stay committed and keep going.
I think something too is like so many people get discouraged because I don't think their motives are right. Like my motive was never like money. Like in everything I do, like that I'm most passionate about, motive's not money. Like my motive for making this podcast is not money. It's like I've always wanted to help people. And like I think when your motive is right, you don't run out of fuel. Because if you have the right why, like you're gonna keep going. Like I'm not waking up doing this podcast or I didn't get 500 subscribers this week, I'm done. Like, no, like I believe God wants me to help people. Yeah. So that outweighs like numbers, that outweighs like clout. And it's like, it's going to come just because it's going to come. Like, like you can't be worried about the wrong things. And, if you're looking for self, you're looking for, gratification for yourself. Like you're not gonna keep going. And I think like so many people just get discouraged because what they want to do is hollow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think, and I'm going to be really raw, honest, and transparent, because that's what this podcast is about. Like, we're going to keep it real. We're going to give you guys like the hard conversations, but to keep it real on my end, I like how you said, it's about your motive, because I'm going to be honest, when I first started my brand, which I have a brand, it's called Pretty on Purpose. When I first started my brand, like I can admit my motives were not in the right place. Like you said, I was kind of motivated by like money, or I want to travel, or I want to get these many followers. I was really, especially followers, because it was in a day and age, like it was 2020, the pandemic, and TikTok was really big. I said, all these people are blowing up on TikTok. I want to blow up on TikTok. Like that was my motive, just to like blow up and go viral. And so when you do that, when you don't have the right motive, it's easy to start something and then you'll fall off. And then you'll start it again, and then you'll fall off, because that's happened to me so many times. Like when I notice that my motive is not in the right place, I'll start it, I'll get some good momentum, and then I'll fall off because I'm not motivated anymore. It's like you can only be motivated by money for so long. It's like you have to have a real like reason, like why are you doing this? What has God called you to do, and why has he called you to do it? And like you said, helping people, like that should be my motive, and it is now. It wasn't in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, but it is now. Like I wanna help people, I wanna inspire women, I wanna help women grow. And so when you have the right motive, it's easy to stay committed on the hard days, especially because it gets hard. When you're following your dreams, it's not always going to be easy. It's going to be early mornings. It's going to be long nights. It's going to be, you miss some meals. It's going to be hard. But in order to keep going, you have to have the right motivation, because if you don't have the right motivation, you're not going to stick with it. You're not going to stick with it. So I think that was good how you said having the right motive. I like that.
The thing I was thinking about, so I feel like me and you kind of started around the same time. Like I started in 2019, you started in 2020. Yeah. What do you think was like the hardest part of COVID, like making content? Because I know like for me, I was just out like taking photos in the woods with my brother. Like, yeah, we was out in the cut. Like, no access, nobody was there. Like nobody was on campus. Oh, and I was like, bro, let's just go in the woods. Like, let's just take some photos. Like, let me go to this, protest. Let me shoot it. Yeah. Stuff like that, just off the cuff. But like, what was the hardest part for you during then?
The hardest part for me during COVID, I actually want to say I probably didn't have a hard part. Honestly, I think that during COVID was an amazing time. It was bad because I had just graduated in 2019. So as soon as I graduated in December. As soon as I graduated, like COVID had hit and nobody was hiring. And like I went to school for broadcast journalism. And so nobody was hiring. So it's like I could not get a job to like save my life. And so that's how I kind of came up with like the content thing. I started doing social media management, videography, photography. And I think it was pretty easy for me just because during that time, a lot of people were starting businesses. And so everyone needed social media management. Everyone needed content creation. So during the pandemic, man, those were some good times. Like, I don't know. For me, I'm just saying, it was bad times. So I'm just saying business wise, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. But no, I like how you said, you were out in the woods doing it. Like that just shows your dedication because you're not always going to have the resources. You're not always going to have like what you need, but you're going to make a way. If you really want it, you're going to make a way. And so the fact that you said there was nobody around, but you took your brother, you took your camera, you said, we're just going to do this. Like, we're just going to do it. I love that. The fact, because if you really want something, you're going to have to get down and dirty. Like, you're going to have to be creative. You're going to have to find innovative ways to get what you want. And so that just shows like how dedicated that you were to your craft, which is really good.
Yeah. Like I remember like we was out there fishing and I was taking photos and like, I look back on those photos. Awesome. I'm like, I will never put these on my website again. But like, it's kind of interesting because like you were graduating college and I was halfway through, so we have a little bit different perspective. Like I didn't know what to do with myself, to be honest, because like I was in the middle of track season and it got canceled. And I'm like, I ain't got nothing else to do. Like I'm running or I'm picking up this camera. And that was like kind of like my mindset is like, now I have all this free time in the world. Like my roommates kind of took off and it was like, all right, for anything else, like I'm bored, like I need to do something else. So, I mean, COVID was an interesting time, but I feel like it was a good time to learn about yourself, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. I think a lot of people learned a lot during COVID. Like a lot of people picked up on a lot of skills. A lot of people started businesses. A lot of people started investing. I know I did like Forex for a little bit. You know what that is?
I heard about Forex.
Oh,
I'm not Forex guy. Put me on. Educate me on Forex.
Listen, I don't know too much about it. I just, like I said, I was in it for the money. My motive was not right. I was not doing it for the right reasons, but I don't know. Forex was a little bit too much for me. I didn't really get into it that much, but a lot of people were doing like a whole bunch of stuff during COVID. I think it was really just like a spring up of like creativity and innovation during 2020 and to just 2020 to just 2022, I think. So it's a pretty good time for that. Not for, for anything else, but for that, for creativity.
So where you're at right now, like, what do you think is stopping you from just going, like following through, taking Pretty in Purpose? Shameless plug, check her out at Pretty in Purpose. Pretty in
Purpose, it's on Instagram.
At Fawning Over Me.
Yeah, Pretty in Purpose.
Check her out on the gram, check her out on TikTok. Yeah. But what do you think is the thing that's just stopping you right now?
Man, just fear. It's just fear. And I know like there's nothing to fear because like I said, God gave me this vision 3 years ago. He gave me this vision during COVID. And I'm telling on myself right now, like y'all pray for me. Okay. I'm telling on myself, but he gave me this vision 3 years ago and he's shown me all the signs. Like he's shown me like, if you do this and you stick with it, you'll be successful. Like you will be fine. Like I got you. It's nothing to worry about. And he showed me that, but something in me still is just like, I don't know. And I think it might be just because like, I love to be in control and I'm a planner and I'm a perfectionist. It's a whole lot of things going on with me in my head, but I'm a perfectionist. I have to know like steps A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. Like I can't just know step A and then do step A without knowing step B and C, but that's not how God works. He said, I'm gonna give you step A, you're gonna do step A, and then I'll give you step B. And I don't work like that. I'm like, God, we're not seeing eye to eye because I don't work like that, big guy. But he's trying to teach me like, that's how you need to do it. Because if I give you all of it, if I give you every single step, you're going to do it on your own. You're going to try to do it on your own and you're going to mess it up. So you need me there. And that's why I'm going to guide you. That's why I'm going to give you one step at a time. So I think for me, it's like knowing like if I start, okay, once I start, like then what? And I know we just talked, like we literally just said this in the beginning of the episode, like just start and you'll get it along the way. So I think, I don't know, it's just like fear for me. It's being a perfectionist. It's being a control freak. Yeah, man, it's a lot. It's a lot going on.
I feel like we're kind of opposites in that sense. Like I'm kind of like, bro, I'll do it. Like I like to plan. Like I don't like being unprepared.
We're so opposite.
I don't like being unprepared, but I'm like, I'm willing to be like, okay, I got 80% down. I'll figure it out. Like, I'll figure it out. We'll make it work.
Let me tell y'all, hold on. I love that because let me tell y'all how funny this is because when we were planning this episode yesterday, first of all, we didn't know for sure if we were going to do it today. But he was like, let's do it Saturday. I was like, okay, if we're going to do it, we need to plan it. Like, what are we going to talk about? Like, what are we going to wear? Like, was like, we got to plan this. And he was like, let's just go in. Let's just do it. And I'm like, what? I'm like, because I'm the planner. He's just like, let's just do it. So I think that's so funny. Like, we complement each other so well. Like, I didn't over plan this time. And you helped me in that because if I would have been over planning, we would not be here right now. I would still be planning. I said, no, we're not ready. We got to wait. Let's do it next week. We're not ready. But the fact that, you were just like, no, let's just do it. Let's go in. And I think I helped you too, because we had to plan it a little bit. We had to plan the intro and so I think I helped you. We kind of helped each other, we kind of helped each other.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking, okay, there's you got a little bit more experience. So that's where it's like,
yeah.
Sometimes I know what I don't know. And I know you know a little bit more about podcasts and stuff like that. Yeah. But no, I think sometimes it's important to just have that effort, I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna figure it out, and it can be hard, but
it's so hard.
But that's kind of when everyone's like, oh, that dude's a dog or she's a dog. Sometimes you just gotta figure it out. That's the fun to me. That's the fun part. Figuring it out is the fun part to me of not knowing. If God was like, okay, let's go move to North Carolina, let's go do this. I'll go do it. Or God's I want you to go all in on the podcast. I'll do it. And it's
that's so good.
It's another level of faith.
That's so good. Yeah.
It's not quite stupidity. A little bit less, it could be stupidity. But it's I'm gonna go do it. I believe it's also self-belief. I believe in me. I believe we'll figure it out. And I'm sitting across from the most skilled person I know. You hype me up, but you're the most skilled person I know. I'm we're gonna figure it out. It's gonna be it's gonna be fire. So it's sometimes it's God doesn't need to use, A, you don't have to be perfect for God to use you. B, the plan doesn't have to be perfect for it to be workable, And I don't think you need a perfect plan necessarily because your plan is going to change. Your plan is literally always going to change because we could have a perfect plan and I'm still going to be we should probably change that. Framing should probably change. Intro should probably change. Video is too long. There's always something you can improve on. So why wait for it to be 100% perfect? Because it's never, perfect doesn't exist. And I think that's what I'm trying to show you is perfect doesn't exist. All you can do is improve.
No, that's good. I think that we're going to work really well together because that's I don't want to say my weakness, but I'm a planner, organization. That is I'm not going to call it a weakness because it's a strong skill set. That's what I do. I'm organized. I have to be down to a T. But the fact that even that we're right here right now, like I said, I think we're really going to be able to help each other because I feel like you're going to be able to help me in that. You're going to be girl, just do it. Why are you you're planning too much? Chill out, put the paper down and just do it. So I feel like we're really going to be able to help each other out. And I love how you said, when you were talking about faith, you said it's not stupidity, but it's crazy because I don't know if you've read the book Crazy Faith by Pastor Mike, and he has a section in the book called Stupid Faith. And it's literally saying sometimes you have to have so much faith. It's if God says do this, you're just going to do it. No questions asked. You're not going to be okay, God, well, let me see, what's in my bank account right now. Or let me see what I'm doing on Tuesday, right? You're just going to do it. No questions asked. And it's important to have that kind of faith because God is looking for people with that kind of faith. That's a gift. That's really a gift because not a lot of people can do that. I know I sure can. I'll be God, are you sure? I'll be questioning, God, are you positive? But no, that's really, really a gift to be able to do that. So
I feel to be honest, for me, when my faith is actually tested, it's not when he's go do this. It's when he's don't do this or wait.
Yeah.
I'm God, I know I could do it. Put me in the game. I could do it, and it's oh, not yet type of thing. And I struggle with okay, wait 6 more months, wait another year. Cause I'm I always see it. I'm this is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. Boom, 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 boom. This is where I want to be in 3 years. Probably doing this right now, So for me, that's the hard part. It's not doing, it's it's doing less sometimes. It's actually relinquishing control you know, when I feel like, oh, like I can force this.
Yeah. I think also too, that's like a thing of like patience. Would you say like you have like patience? Because I know in my waiting seasons, I've had a lot of waiting seasons. Like I've had so many waiting seasons. And I think I'm really good in those seasons. Like I don't have no issues. That's why I said it's so funny. Like we literally balance each other out. But I'm really good in those seasons. Like if God says wait, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wait. Because I'm just used to it anyway. Like if you have me waiting, and I think that's what it is too. In your waiting season, that's the season to be praying and planning for what you're praying for, preparing for what you're praying for. And I'm so good at that. So I love my waiting seasons when God's like, no, slow your roll. Hold on, let's wait. I'm like, okay, God, while we're waiting, I'm gonna, plan this out. So I love that. So I think it's too like a thing of like patience. Like, would you say like, where's your patience level at? Like, where are you at?
It's better than it was like a year ago, 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. But I think some of that is just maturity, but I don't know. It could be a little bit better. I'm not like impatient. I'd say day to day. It's just like long term, like having a goal, seeing a vision. So it's like a blessing to see a vision, but like sometimes it's a curse because you're not present. Mm-hmm. But
Yeah, I think that's good. Also, so something that just popped in my head, like we were talking about. I went to the gym earlier today. Y'all, give me a round of applause. We're putting an applause right there because it's my first day back since May. Woo, go me. But I went to the gym and my trainer was talking about like being humble and how some people like think like when you hear the word humble, like it has like a negative connotation in society and in the culture. But really being humble is like not a bad thing. It's actually very important to be humble if you want to reach your goals, if you want to be successful. Because if you're not humble, like life will humble you. And so I think too, like when it comes to like doing what God says, like if he's telling you to do something, you have to humble yourself in order to do that, because you're saying, okay, God, like I'm not going to do what I want to do. I'm going to lower myself and put you up here, up at the top, and I'm going to do what you say. And that just goes back to like starting too, like how we were talking about, when you have something that you want to do, when you made a commitment to yourself, like you have to start. You have to be humble to start, because if you know where you want to be, like let's say you want to lose weight, you're not at the weight that you want to be, then you're not humbling yourself to say, okay, I got to stop eating this. I got to start going to the gym. Like you have to humble yourself. You have to say, okay. And he also said something about like, if you didn't get the job, it's not because, somebody's after you. It's because you didn't have the skill set. So humble yourself and say, okay, I'm gonna take the next 3 months. I'm gonna learn these skills and then I'm gonna apply again. So it just takes like, you have to be humble in order to reach that point that you want to get to, right? So I think that's important too.
Yeah, I think like with humility too, like it's when you realize where you are, like just look at where you are. Like I remember like when I first started, I would be like, I was kind of hot low key because I was like, man, like I don't think this guy's actually better than me. I don't think he's actually better than me. Like I guarantee you a year I'm gonna be better than that. But like, and I'm very humble, not arrogant. But I was like, man, like I'm just not getting those same opportunities. And, I think in anything, like it's just take the smallest step you can do. And that's kind of what humility is every day. It's like, like chop wood, carry water every single day. Like don't compare yourself to other people. Like I struggled with that for a while, like trying to be other people. And I think that's kind of where like, a lot of us fall into the issue of like, oh, I don't feel like I'm ready, because we're comparing ourselves to other people.
That too.
And that's like the biggest dream killer you can have, honestly.
Comparison. Yeah. Comparison. I did a post about this. I think I said like comparison is like the thief. It like steals your joy. It kills your destiny. It still kills and destroys. Like comparison is so like, and it's so like huge in 2023, because we're in a day and age where you go on Instagram and you're seeing everybody posts their wins. Like not a lot of people post their losses on Instagram. Some people might, they're being humble, they're being honest, transparent. But when you go on somebody's Instagram feed, you're seeing, oh, they just bought a new car. They just left the country. They just bought a new house. They just got engaged. You're seeing like all the highs, but you're not seeing the lows. You're not seeing what it took for them to get there, right? And so we can compare ourselves, but we're comparing ourselves to the wrong narrative, because it's like, I'm comparing my low season to this person's high season, but I'm still working to get there, right? So it's like a lot of people do that, especially like getting on social media. But comparison, that's something we got to get out of, man. That's something we really got to get out of, because it's going to mess you up.
I think with comparison too, it's so crazy. Like the people you compare yourself to, like one, y'all are not on the same path. You're not on the same journey, and like there's people I compared myself to, and now it's like, I'm either way past them or whatever. And it's like, it's so easy to be like, oh, I want to be doing what they're doing. But like, that's not what God wants you to be doing.
Exactly.
Like, I had a friend, I was in college at another year. It's like, man, he's working at Fox Sports. That's so cool. And like, now I work in NFL. But I was like, man, I want to be able to do that. But it's like, that's not what he has for you. And like, I feel bad when people like ask me like, how are you doing? Like, how'd you get this job? How do I do what you do? And it's like, it's not going to happen the same way for everybody. One.
Yeah.
But two, like, you made such a good point about like on Instagram, on, you know, Twitter, whatever, like you're comparing
Not Twitter.
You're comparing like yourself to everyone else, and you're just getting the highlights like every day. Like, especially with my job, I'm making so many highlights. Like, you see my video and it's like, we live for the highlight, which is the craziest thing. We live for the highlight, like the 10-second burst. Nobody wants like everyone asks you like, how did you get here? Like, what does it take? Like, where did you start? They don't really want the full answer. You know what I'm saying? They want the easy, they want the bullet points.
Yeah. They want okay, so who do I need to talk to? Like, how can I get in here?
Yeah. It's like, if you really wanted the answer, we would have an hour conversation on the phone. Cause you need to understand you need to understand the journey, not
just
here. Yeah. Like, it wasn't that simple. Like, you know, and I think we're all a victim of that a little bit of like, you know, we want to market ourselves. Like, I want to make myself look as good as possible, you know, on every platform and everything I do. But like, I think sometimes that can be your worst enemy, because then you put pressure on yourself to live up to something
that you're not supposed to be living up to.
Yeah. Like, you can't live up to perfection every single day.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I agree. And I think too, like, just like you said, like, everybody's path is different. Like, you're comparing yourself to somebody, like how you said, like, this person was working at Fox News, but that wasn't your path. That wasn't your journey. God didn't want you to work there because he had something better for you. It's not even like it's like better or worse. It's just like God has something different for you. And I think anyone who does struggle with comparison, that's just something to keep in mind. Like, you know, you see this person, they're, you know, living the life that you dream of, but God has a life for you, a better life, a better for you life, right? Like, he has something so much better than what you could ever picture up in your own head. Like, he wants good for you. He wants good for all of us. And he has, like the Bible says, I know the plans I have for you, plans of good, plans to prosper you. And so I don't think you should like compare yourself to anybody, because, you know, like, God has given you a unique skill set. You're unique in your own self, like your thoughts, your mind, your experiences, your past, like, you're unique, and he created you for your own special purpose. So I think anyone who's struggling with comparison, just like remember that. Yeah.
I think too, like, the room God puts you in, like, you're in for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, if you were in a different room, you wouldn't have the same impact as that person. So don't try to be them. And like, one thing I always say is like, you should always try to be authentically yourself. That's the thing that's actually gonna make you blow up. Like, you're trying to do everything else people are doing content wise, how other people dress, like follow the trend. Like, sometimes trends are popular for a reason, like whatever. But like, you will never be noticed if you're just trying to do what everyone else does.
Yeah.
It'll just be another sheep in the flock, pretty much. And like, I think for me, what I've really focused on is like, be authentically myself. And I, like, growing up, I was really shy. And like, I was really shy. I've gotten more talkative every single year.
No way.
That's a little bad for you. But like, I've gotten more talkative every single year. But I felt like I was really quiet in middle school, high school. And even now, like, I still have introverted moments. But like, it helped me be a lot more expressive to just be like, I'm gonna just walk into the room and be myself. That's the easiest thing to do. As long as I'm trying to be someone else, like, I can't measure up to that. And I think like, sometimes as an introvert, you feel like that like, oh, I don't match up with these extroverts. I'm not cool. Or like, you know, I feel like what I'm wearing isn't cool enough. I'm not cool enough to be like with these kids, with this group, like, you know, they don't know me. But if you really like walked into a room and just asserted yourself as their authentic self, like, you'd actually realize like, you're as dope as you think you are.
That's good. I like that. And let's get back to this, because I would have never thought you were shy. Like, anybody who knows him, if you're watching this right now and you know Jonathan, like, I would have never guessed you were shy. Like, even because I'm shy. And so like, even when we first met, like, I feel like you brought me out. Well, I guess you said you've been working on it, but you really brought me out of my shell too. But I think, like you said, just being uniquely you, I think also will help you kind of shine in your own moment. Like, you won't want to compare yourselves, because once you see like, wow, like you said, like, you're pretty dope. Like, I'm pretty dope. I'm pretty cool. Like, you want to just be you. You won't want to compare yourself to anybody else, because you know that you have a unique perspective to offer. And so I like how you said that, just be uniquely you.
Yeah. So you really don't think I was quiet?
No, you are not quiet at all. You do have your introverted moments.
I have introverted moments. If you put me in a group where I don't know the group,
yeah, you can.
It's a little different.
Oh, I know.
One-on-one, I think I can make it happen with like pretty much anybody, but like, I don't know. I never feel like I'm the center of attention guy personally. It's just not me. But I don't know.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like when you, and also too, like when you're walking in your purpose, like things like that, like you said, you had to get out of that to become who you are today. And even I'm sure God still has more stuff to like work on you with that. But like you said, you want to do this podcast, like you're going to have to not be shy, right? You're going to have to not be introverted. So it's like our experiences and things like when we just start, like there's things that God will like teach us on our path. And there's lessons that he wants to birth in us. And there's things that he wants to do in us and things he wants to take out of us, like shyness, introvertness, perfectionism, because that's what he's working on me with. So like when you just start, you might not be ready at the beginning, but as you continue to walk on that path, there's things that he'll, put inside you, like he'll help you and help you grow and become the person that he's called you to be in order for you to do the thing that he's called you to do.
And I don't feel like there's anything wrong with being shy. Just be like the best version of yourself. And the reason why you're like, oh, I can't see that you're shy is because like when I started like videography, photography, like doing shoots, like even now I get so nervous doing photo shoots just because I got to think about like, I have to pose people, like it's a little bit more communication, I would say.
Yeah.
But for me, what helped break my shyness and helped me come out of my shell a little bit was really like when I was doing these shoots with people, I was like, I have to be so comfortable with, like, I cannot be uncomfortable with myself or nervous because that's going to transfer through the camera to the other person. And I don't want that.
Yeah.
If they're nervous, like I'm not going to get a good smile out of them. Like I have to be as friendly as possible for these people to want, not just take these photos this time, but want to come back. Like, you want to have good business etiquette on the phone, emailing people. And it just taught me to like how to communicate. Also, I think like midway through college, going from being a marketing major to communications major, like getting up there doing public speaking classes and stuff like that. Like there's been times I've been called to, hey, like one of my teachers wanted to call me into a video editing class to teach the whole class. I'm like, all right, I guess, it's only 13 of us in here, but I guess, but it was fun. Like it was fun. It's just, but you take the little opportunities and you realize like along the journey, I realized how much value I had. And like, I guess for me, that made me feel so seen. Like I felt, that was the first time I really felt important, like really confident in myself. And like, oh, I can offer other people something like with my gifts. Yeah. And that was huge for me. That's the biggest confidence builder like I'll ever have, because now I can walk in the room and be like, I know what I'm doing. And I know that like, I'm here for a reason and people respect that. And like, I think at the end of shoots or like when you deliver something for a client and they're like, thank you, like this made my day. Or like someone like cries because they're so happy because of your wedding photos. You're like, man, like I did that. Like, that's so cool. And I think like when you're living in purpose, like, and you walk into your gift and then people appreciate it, you're like, that kind of validates you as a whole, Because I'm like, I do this, like what I do, my videos, like I do that with all my being, like that's me. And so someone appreciates that. I'm like, that just made me feel even better about myself,
Yeah, no, it's good. I like that. And for the people who, have things like that they need to get over, like their shyness or their introvertedness, like, would you say like it was your experience that helped you get over that, or what like self-development, like practical self-development things did you do to like get over those hurdles? Because I know like when people who don't want to start, people who are afraid, like, oh, I want to be this, I want to do this, but like, I'm not there yet. Like what steps could they take? Like what helped you like get out of that and like, develop?
I think it's a combination of things. Like I remember I had professors or teachers or coaches who were like, man, like you can do this, like you can do whatever you want in life. And like when people pour into you, I think that's huge. But also like, what are you surrounding yourself? What information are you feeding yourself on a daily basis? Good. Like I would watch motivation videos all the time, and someone may think that's corny or that's lame, but like that interjected a lot of positive things into my mind, to my mindset. And I think like that shows. And I think you need those positive things buried in your subconscious when you have hard days, when you are nervous. And I think another thing is like what the Bible tells you about yourself. Like there's no reason you should walk into a room and be meek or like not be your best self or not feel like you belong. Like, you know, the Bible tells you, like, you're a child of God, like, act like it.
Yeah.
You know, you're here for dominion, honestly. And I don't ever want to make it seem like I think everyone's going to evolve, you know, like I just think it's about evolution. I think when I was shy, what I was thinking, what I was telling myself, my self-talk was kind of like, oh, bro, like, you know, don't talk to that girl. Like you're not attractive enough, or someone said you're boring, or things like that. And if you repeat the things that people say to you that are negative, that's just going to fuel your line of thinking and your actions. But if people tell you positive things and you tell yourself positive things, that's going to emanate, that's going to radiate, and that confidence is going to show. And like, I feel like confidence is everything. Like, it's huge. Like in life, you go on a date, you go on an interview, like you meet someone for the first time, you're meeting parents, like,
for sure,
you got to have confidence. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like I would tell anyone, like, I heard a great quote one time. It was that like, when you're speaking to people, you're not trying to convince them of what you're saying. You need to convince them that you believe what you're saying.
That's good. I like that. That's really good. I think too, like how you said, like when you like don't listen to like the haters and like the naysayers, people who put you down. I think it's important, like whatever you surround yourself with, that's what you're going to become. And so like you said, if you want confidence, like you have to surround yourself with, like you said, you had mentors, you had professors like speaking life into you. And so it's so important to just get around people who speak life into you. It's so important to, like you said, watch those motivational videos. Okay, Steve Harvey, like I hear you, like watch those videos because like you said, it gets ingrained in your subconscious. And it's better to put positive stuff into your subconscious than negative stuff. Like if you wake up and the first thing you turn on is Love and Hip Hop, I mean, come on now. Come on. Like, that's just, your whole day is just going to go like crazy. Like, it's just going to be drama. But if you wake up and you turn on, like, you read your Bible, you turn on a sermon, a motivational video, that's how your day will go. And then how your day goes, that's how your week will go. How your week, your month, your year. So it's like, you really have to like surround yourself. Like, if you want that confidence, one, talk yourself up, you know, get the mirror, do your affirmations, talk yourself up, surround yourself with people who believe in you and who can speak life into you when you don't believe in yourself. And then, you know, watch those videos, you know, read your Bible, get into your word, like you said. So yeah, I think it's pretty good.
What do you feel like is like the biggest thing that's changed about you, like last 5 years?
Oh, goodness. There's so much that changed. What's the
evolution of Fawn?
My entire life, man. We'd be here for another 2 hours if I got into that. I'm really just a different person, honestly. I don't want to get into my whole backstory, but long story short, like, you know, I grew up in church. But when I went to high school, I kind of like fell off and, you know, got into the wrong crowd. In college, I was in the wrong crowd and everything. But during the pandemic is when I really came back to God. And so like, I feel like a lot for me has changed. My mindset, for one, like I really truly believe in purpose. Like before, I was not living for anything. I was waking up, I was going to the bar. I was a bartender. I was waking up, going to the bar as a bartender, you know, and I wasn't really doing anything. I didn't really have any, I mean, I had goals and stuff, but like I didn't have purpose, because you can have goals and really not have purpose. You have purpose. You just don't know what your purpose is. But yeah, that was me. I didn't really know what my purpose was. And so I think now, since, you know, rededicating my life back to God, he's really put that in me. Like that is my heart and soul, is like finding my purpose, walking in my calling, and helping others do the same. So I think my mindset has changed a lot. I'm not as shy as I used to be. I used to be really, really, really shy, like painfully shy. But I've gotten a lot better with that. My introverted side has gotten a lot better too. And just my mindset. I'm a more positive person now. I like to speak life, like we were just talking about. I like to speak life into people. Used to not be a people person at all. Now I am. I love people. So I feel like a lot has changed for me, for sure. I did a lot of self-development over the years, which is why I'm really excited about this podcast, because it's like I've done the work. And I know I still have so much more work to do, but it's like as we're here and as we're sitting and as we're talking, God is going to he's going to help me continue to grow into the woman he's called me to be. But I feel like what's so great about this podcast is like, we've both done the work. Like we've done the self-development. We've gone through, like we have our faith. Our faith is much stronger than it used to be. And so, and like our podcast says, real life experiences, we have those experiences. And so To be able to do this and sit here and talk to each other and talk to others and be able to help them get through it and go through it and grow through it, I think is really what I'm excited about for this. So
I think like one thing too is like, I feel like a lot of people, even myself, like it's very easy to like fall into thinking that like everything is just linear. It's just straight path, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, it's cool to see like your evolution. Like I thought it was the craziest thing when I met you of like where you were to where you are now, like completely different person.
Oh yeah.
And like it shows. And I have so much admiration for that. That's really cool.
Oh man.
Not a lot of people can say that. They're like, you did a whole 180. But
for sure.
a lot of people never know that, you know?
Yeah.
But that's why you got to just appreciate the journey. You know, you're going to change, you're going to evolve over time. And like, I think when it comes back to faith, like God's always directing you to a certain point. You just don't really know it. And it's like this whole time I could be thinking my purpose is making videos, but it could be to get me to this point to be able to understand content to put out for a podcast and help people like I've always wanted to be. But I think like, we get so stuck in the now and like a linear journey, like seeing to the corner instead of God seeing like around the corner, you know?
Yeah, no, it's definitely not linear. And I think what is so crazy about that is like you said, people don't always see like how you said, I did a whole 180, but it's crazy because I had to go through those things because there are people out there who are going through them now and they need guidance. And like, there's this one quote that says like, God is calling you to help who you used to be. And so I had to go through those things. And I think that's why it's so like we and this podcast is so important because we have to show people like, hey, we've gone through this. We know what it's like. We know what you're feeling. We know how you can get out of it, right? Like we can help you. And so anyone can do like a 180. It just takes, you know, the resources and the mentorship. And, you know, that's why I'm really excited about this podcast. But I think like you said, man, I did a full 180. And so I'm excited to just, you know, help people who are out there who are listening. We might have like a person listening right now, our first subscriber, and they're just like, you know, this podcast has gotten them through their day. Now they're more motivated and everything. So yeah, I'm really excited about this.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's your goal for this week? Like, what's something you're really, this is the week to do it?
My goal for this week was to do this podcast episode, and we got it done.
Facts.
We got it done. I'm happy about that. That's checked off my box. So I think that was my big goal for the week. What about you? What was yours?
It was getting the podcast done. That's when I go for a little bit.
Like, yeah.
But now we got to get it up. We got to get it live. We got to chop it up. You know what I'm saying?
That'll be easy. I think, like we said, the hardest part is starting. Like now that we've done it, now that we have the footage, now getting that content out is going to be so easy. That's the easy part. I think really the hardest part is just starting. And we've started, and now look how easy it is. It's just going to be like, boom, boom, boom. Like we're just going to do it now. So I'm excited. Do you have any other goals? Do you have anything that you were pursuing?
I think just like daily gratitude. I want to be like consistent about waking up early, you know, going to the gym every single day. It's a lot harder now, training camp, but
yeah,
still got to do it. But
I think
just maximizing the days, honestly.
I think that was one of my goals too. It's going to the gym. Like I didn't get to go to the gym per se this week, but I did have my boot camp today and it was real good. I'm feeling really good. It was my first day back. I think I said this earlier. It's my first day back in like 3 months, but I'm feeling really good. So that was one of my goals too. And then I think like just something that I'm like pursuing is just like, I think I'm pursuing my calling. I think that's what I want to say. I'm pursuing my calling. I think that what I need to really like focus in on is to stop, like just get out of my head. Like get out of my head with my coaching stuff, get out of my head with Pretty and Purpose, with my content, and just do it. Like you said, I need to stop planning. I've been planning for 3 years. Girl, you planned enough. It's like, it's time to it's time to go. It's time to start it. So I think just pursuing that and just pursuing obedience too. I really got to like, when God tells me to do something, I need to just do it automatically. No questions asked. Like, no hesitations, I'll do it next week because, another good quote for you, delayed obedience is still disobedience. So it doesn't matter if he tells you to do it now and you do it next week, that's still disobedience. So it's like, I need to work on that because I try to tell myself, I'm not being disobedient. I'm gonna still do it, God, but I'm gonna do it on my terms. And that's not okay. So just pursuing obedience. That's something I gotta do this week.
I think one thing I want to tell you, or like anybody who's like waiting, you know, like to me, one thing I think about is like every week I wait, like that's one less person that watched the video. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So think about that. That's like one less person I got to work with. That's like one less person that experienced what you have to offer.
Ugh, you're
like
so
we would have
right.
done this a month from now, like that hits a different crowd of people. Like you're ready. Like everyone's ready to just go do something.
Man, that's a word for me and for anybody out there, like you said, who's waiting. Like there are people out there who need what you have to offer. And the longer you wait, the longer you push it off, they're struggling. Like they need this. There are people out here, God has put you on this earth for a reason to help those people. And the longer you take, they're not getting the help that they need. So it's like, you know, you can't really be selfish about it. Well, I don't want to do it right now because, you know, I just don't want to do it. No, there's people who need this stuff. Like people need to hear this podcast. People need this message. Even if it's just one person, like you said, it's going to touch. God is going to make sure it touches who it needs to touch. Like he's going to make sure it inspires who it needs to inspire. He's going to make sure it helps who it needs to help. Even if that's one person. If one person watches this, if one person subscribes, that one person needed it. So it's like we did what we needed to do, right? So that was a word. That was a word right there.
But I feel like that's facts though. And like, I don't know if you've ever felt like this, but like in college, I got like so much, it was so empowering to me to just see one person that did it, you know, just hear an honest point of view. Like, I'm like, man, this guy went to college for running or like whatever you want to do. Like, I feel like it's so empowering to see someone actually complete their own mission. You know what I'm saying? Like whether you want to be an artist or like whatever. Like for me, it's really empowering, like every day talking to you. And like when you talk about your faith, like I'm still growing in that aspect. I'm like, man, like she's doing it. And like, you know, I don't need to do a 180 per se, but like there's always stuff to improve on. And like, I think there's so much power in sharing your story. I think that's really like the important part of what we're doing here. It's just sharing our story to help one person. Because like, if you really think about it, like you were that one person for someone else. And that's really what life's about. It's just giving back. Like,
yeah. No, I love that because I was going to say the same thing. You like read my mind. I was literally going to say like you inspire me, like just seeing you like reach your goals and do like your vision board. And like that inspires me to like get on my stuff. Like seeing you go to the gym, seeing you wake up early. You was up at 3:30 the other day. I was like, ooh, I felt like a slacker. I think I woke up at like 9 a.m. that day. I was like, you was up at 3:30? I was like, oh my goodness. But just seeing you do that stuff, that inspires me to like, you know, do better and get on my stuff and like, so yeah, I was gonna say that.
I think it's hard to like want to be perfect in it. And like what I've learned is just giving cut yourself some grace, you know, like you're not going to nail it the first time. Like the first week I try to wake up in the morning, it's not going to be perfect. Like there's going to be pitfalls. There might be a bad day, but just accept that, like give yourself grace. And like one thing I was really trapped in last year that was like stressed me out at work and stuff. It's like always trying to be perfect. And that'll kill you faster than anything. Because the only thing you can't do, you know?
That's true.
So like, I think the challenge for this week is just do it to the best you can and then improve on it. Like start somewhere, start anywhere. Like one day is better than no days. And
yeah, I think that's true. Cause I think for me, like I am the perfectionist. Like I do, like you said, you're never going to be perfect, but I want to be like perfect. And I know I know that's not like realistic, but it's like, if I do something, I want to do it to the best of my ability, but I want to do it perfectly too. Like I want it to be perfect. But like you said, you'll never be perfect. So just starting and giving it your all, and doing it to the best of your ability. So I want to challenge our listeners out there. Like, what is one thing that you're like, what's your goal this week and what are you pursuing this week? And just do it to the best of your ability. First of all, write it down in the comments, message it to us on Instagram because we'll help hold you accountable. But hold yourself accountable too. Just do it. Like figure out what it is that you want to do. What are you pursuing this week? And then just give it your all. You're not going to be perfect starting out. You're not going to be like the best at it. It might be terrible when you first start out, and that's okay. Like he said, like Jonathan said, give yourself grace. It's okay to not be good. It's okay to not be great at all in the beginning. Like if you suck at something in the beginning, that is perfectly okay. Like you have to start somewhere. You don't even have to be good to start, right? So just start and give yourself grace and you'll get better. So that's what I want to challenge our listeners to do this week.
Yeah. I'll say too, like it's kind of cool to suck sometimes. I know that sounds wild at first, but like there's a lot of power in knowing like, okay, I'm here, but like a year from now, I'll be able to see it grow.
Yeah.
Like it's not as fun if you just start here and then it never increases. You know, you see people who like kill it out of the gate, but they don't have any drive. They don't have any motivation to sustain it.
Yeah.
But like where it's impressive is when you get it out the mud and you just start, you know, like just have it raw, have it be authentic. Like the best time to start was yesterday, but what you can do today is even better. So that's it.
That's a quote right there. That was a good one.
Appreciate you guys coming on, listen to us. It was awesome. Had a lot of fun. This first episode was fun. It was a great time. And I'm looking forward to many more. You know, check us out. Our individual Instagrams _2 Jays, JAYSSS.
And mine is no, I'm sorry. Ain't no underscore in mine. Mine's just fawning over me. But also check out my Pretty and Purpose brand on Instagram and TikTok. And also, hey, if you're listening, if you're watching, if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever, make sure you subscribe, okay? If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and click that subscribe button and follow us on Instagram. What's our Instagram?
_pursuit pod.
Right. Follow us and share this podcast with your friends. Like we said, you know, this is going to be all about real life experiences, all about self-development, all about spirituality, and just inspiring you to follow your dreams and inspiring you to just pursue all the good things in life. So if you or anyone you know could use some good things in life, go ahead and share this podcast with us. We're excited about this, and we will see you guys for episode 2.